and way of life in this country we live in and share together, Australia. Councillors, we have one apology this morning from the Mayor, Paul Simmons. I'll start the acknowledgements by acknowledging the passing of Mr. Peter Squires OAM. And it has been a sad period of time for Tailem, as he has been quite the identity. Do other councillors wish to contribute? Councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the passing of Peter George Squires OAM. I knew Peter since 1983 as a businessman with Hayman Motors, that was formerly the Chrysler, Mitsubishi, John Deere and Chamberlain dealer. Around 85, Peter commenced in earnest to build the old Tailem town, with official opening in 1988, with over now 100 buildings on site. Peter was a charter member of the Lions Club, a member of the Food and Wine Club of Tailem Bend, and also an honorary member of the Tailem Bend Historians. And the greatest gift, he was a good storyteller. Peter passed away on the 2nd of August, age 87. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Moment.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. And just to add on to what Councillor Qualman has said, I've known Peter all of my life, and he was a man of vision. He was an absolute history buff, and the legacy of Old Tailem Town lives on in Danny and Tina, which they will do a wonderful job keeping that going. And it's actually one of the first tourist destinations in Tailem was Old Tailem Town, and as I said, a man of vision, and his legacy will live on. So rest in peace, Peter.
Councillors, any further acknowledgements? Councillor Arthur?
Yes, belongs to the 40th running of the Tintinara Action Club, the end of the swamp. Held over the weekend. Maximum number of that they can cater for running, and waiting list of 40 people to come in, which shows its popularity. And I've done a wonderful job with catering, a wonderful job with the tracks, and I drove around marshalling, and I'll send a report in to the CEO regarding the condition of the roads that we drove across, and so it gives me a chance of getting out of my own area, which I see all the time, and went into a different area. And I must congratulate Joel and his crew at the present moment, because the state of the roads that I drove on, except for one, this is the notorious Boothby Road, was excellent. In fact, Cattle Road, I know it doesn't get much traffic, but that is better than the main highway. There is not one pothole in the whole thing. It's amazing.
Better than the Dukes.
Yeah, well, miles better than Duke's Highway. It makes the Duke's Highway look like a bush track. So congratulations, and congratulations to the Action Club. It's a wonderful event.
Yeah. Any further acknowledgements? I'd just like to acknowledge the passing of Peter Descent from Tintinara. He served his country with distinction and continued to volunteer through his later years in the town. Councillors, move on to declarations of conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest from today's agenda? There being none, we'll move on to the confirmation of minutes. Councillors, are there any alterations or corrections to the minutes? Somebody prepared to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Qualman, Councillor Bland. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you. Now, councillors, the first agenda item today is the adjourned business, being the curbside waste recycling green organic collection service policy review. I will hand to the director for comment, and then any questions.
Through the chair, post the July meeting with regards to this policy that we're putting forward for adoption, the change that was made off the back of that meeting was to amend section 3, which is around the scope. So the revised policy introduced a new, I guess, grouping of services for business, commercial and industrial. And I guess the anomaly was that they, by the proposed policy, only had 2 bins proposed. They have been removed, and it's been amended back to just a township collection, regardless of whether they're residential, commercial, business, or other. And so that township collection gets 3 bin services. The 3 bin service that also allows commercial and business to opt to transfer their green bin to an additional red bin at no extra charge, which is a continuation of the service that they've always had. So that's the primary change. I might invite Ben up. There was a couple other little bits and amendments. Sorry, Ben.
That's all right.
Just around the
Ben?
so 4.4 new collection
Oh, yes.
services.
So that wraps up anytime a resident comes to us and says, hey, I need waste collected, particularly for new houses that have been approved and then built, or if there's a caravan on the site that they're living on while the house is getting built and they need rubbish collected. Now, we could have listed lots of scenarios here, but we just decided to wrap it all up and just say, if we're approached and waste collection is needed, well, we can do it. There was just no means in this for that at the moment. I think, Joel, did you want me to talk about do you want to touch on the community service groups as well, or have we?
No, I think
that
we
enough?
covered that off at
Yeah,
previous
okay.
month's meeting. That was
Yep.
not a requirement to follow up any further. I think we clarified the sporting groups and community groups. So
Thank you. Councillors, any questions? Is there a mover for the motion, for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Roundtree. Councillor O'Hara. Councillor Roundtree, you have the call.
I'm very grateful for all the work you have done on this policy. It has really been rigorously gone through. Lots of things identified, lots of things fixed up, and I think where we've landed is a really good spot. And I'm sure there'll be something we've overlooked when the scenario comes up, but I think what we've got is a really good starting point. So thank you, and I'm happy with it.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hara.
No, we've been over enough, I think.
Thank you. Any other, Councillor Arthur?
Yeah, can I just ask, particularly with the new ruling with the sports associations and that sort of thing, that will come in next year, is that right? Because we've already sent the rate notices out telling everybody what they've got to pay. And all the sporting bodies have got no waste management charge on there.
The answer would be yes.
the answer, sorry, through the chair, the answer is yes. We're trying to, I guess it's a big enough body of work, but is to develop election register, which we're trying to work with Solo on at the moment. We then can understand who's been charged what and then align it with this policy. So I will take on notice that, but yes, it is a body of work to now do.
And I'll also ask the question, have we got a record of who actually received the letters telling them about the additional bins charges? Because as far as I can ascertain in going through residents of my area, the business in my area, there's only one that's got that notice. And they have sent, a couple there have sent things through to Joel regarding the setups at the present moment. So the others, what happened to how we, well, obviously we missed them.
Yeah.
So
through the chair, we do have, I guess, a collation of those letters that went out. We are since aware of many other examples that the letter needs to go to. It's also understanding some of the nuance and, there's a whole heap of grandfathering handshake agreements that we've got to sift through So it's not going to turn itself around quickly. There's a bit to navigate here. So we will do that. But at the moment, yes, I can tell you the list of businesses that we contact, or sorry, property owners that we contacted. But we are aware that there's many more.
Thank you. Anything further, councillors? Councillor Richer, you close.
Closed.
Put the motion, all those in favour? Councillor Arthur, are you for? Thank you. I'll put it again. Those in favour? Carried. Unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the next agenda item, reports by members, the Mayor's report and a report from Councillor Maidment. Report. Councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. On your report, July the 31st, meeting with the Tarn Bend, or the Bend Motorsport Park and the interim CEO, Tarn Bend. What was that about? Like me, thanks.
Sure, Councillor Qualman. That was a discussion around future development and opportunities out there that they might be looking at, as well as a structure plan that council is going to be putting forward.
Yep.
And we also touched on health services, and I asked the question around their requirements out there as well, which is going to be a conversation, an ongoing conversation. It was the start of a conversation. The other thing I will touch on too is for members' benefit, we discussed tourism and the benefit that they have been provided through the MRLCTA.
Yeah.
And they were able to quantify that benefit in terms of tourism development for other businesses as well as their own, which was good to hear.
Very good, thank you.
Any further questions? Council members report, Councillor Maidment. Any questions for Councillor Maidment? Thank you, Councillor Maidment. Councillor Arthur.
I haven't got a written report in, but I'd just like to report that I did have a meeting with Jason Virgo, the new member for our area, who actually was at the bike ride. He come out and had a sort of, and it's very interesting actually talking to him, and he's very interested in our proposal that we were pushing about paying rates for electricity generation. And he really hasn't got his head around it, but he's going to be all over it at the present moment. He assured me that it's something that he will be spending a lot of time and working out some figures on for us. So
that's good to hear.
Very good meeting with him. So.
It's good to hear. Thank you. Any other councillors report on anything?
Just maybe a comment on that. We spent an hour or so with him in the hotel in Ingy too, and he was very approachable, and I think he's hopefully do a good job. Seems like he's keen to.
Thank you.
That's good to know.
Nothing further, councillors. There are no petitions today, and there are also no requests for deputations. We'll move on to public question time, and we do have a question, I believe. Would you like to come to a microphone, please?
Sit here.
Yes, please, and just tilt the microphone towards you if you could, please.
Right, well, good morning, everyone. My question is about the AI, they're calling it an AI factory data centre. And the meeting, about a month ago, just over, was very helpful. The point made there was that it's a state government issue. But my question is, will council do something to possibly express the view which seemed to be represented by the community at that meeting, that the majority of Tailem Bend people are against this proposal? Like in that audience, there would have been quite a few people possibly open-minded or in favour, but all the questions that were put forward at that meeting were against it, every one of them. So I know the point about it being a state government issue, but there's certain things that can arise where people can push back. If you can just let me give one example from past history. When the federal government tried to impose a nuclear waste dump on South Australia back in about 2001, Mike Rann wasn't happening. Well, he didn't just say, all right, it's a federal government issue. He stood up and took the federal government to court and he won. So all my point is that even though it's a state government thing, council, in my opinion, it's only one opinion, should possibly push back on it. That's how I feel. The second part of my question was about council representing the community. I know you do that and you answered it already in the preamble, so ignore that bit. So that's my question, that's all.
Thank you, Andrew. And I just want to say thank you for coming and asking a question. Not too many people avail themselves of the opportunity.
Yeah.
It is appreciated that you've done that.
Yeah.
So I'll start first, and I think if other councillors wish to chime in. At the moment, my aim is to make sure that we're fully informed.
Yeah.
And I don't think we still are.
Yeah.
Firma still has some questions to answer. I think they did go a fair way at that meeting, but they are doing a drop-in meeting. It's next week, I believe. There'll be further sessions with further information. I think in my mind, it's a balance between opportunity and development in the council area and whether there are actually any ongoing concerns that could be detrimental to the area. So insofar as will I challenge the state government? Absolutely. I've called out the minister for not having a phone call, not having a conversation with us so far. I don't personally see, and I'm speaking personally here, I don't see this being in principle a problem for the district. I do see that there being associated problems if it's not done correct. So that's my view. I'll continue to advocate to make sure that what is delivered here is actually fit for purpose for the region and benefits.
Yeah.
Other councillors wish to jump in? Councillor Roundtree?
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for coming along and raising the question, because it's certainly very topical in the district. And I was at that meeting and I guess I went into that meeting more sceptical than when I came out. And I think the part that convinced me maybe that this is something we should look at further was that the Firmus crew recognised that the data centres and the way they've been built in other places were resource hungry. And what they've attempted to do is redevelop what it looks like and make it that it's not so resource. Well, that's their promise. That's what they said. Now they've got to prove that they can do it, but they were going to be not as resource hungry. They weren't going to be using copious amounts of water and they were going to provide their own energy. And they're the two biggest detriments of these data centres. Are they going to take all our water and use all our power and leave us with nothing? So if they can demonstrate to us, and I think the state government's asking them to demonstrate it as well, that they won't do that, that their proposal is different to all of the others, they could possibly trailblaze a new method for data centres going forward and be really successful, because I don't think we will ever get away from needing data centres, not now that AI has landed. This is only going to get bigger. So we either grab the opportunity and try and make it work best for us, or we skip away from it altogether. They're going to end up somewhere, and Australia is seen as a country that doesn't have a lot of natural disasters, and it does have the ability to build these kind of places, and we're, you know, politically a safe country to put them in. At the moment, this stuff exists, and all our data that goes into clouds is currently in other countries. So having the ability to store our own data in our own country makes sense from a security point of view. But if Firmus can pull off what they promised, and that is to develop a system that is not resource hungry and ticks all the right boxes, and we need to consider it, because I think where Tailem and Ben's located, people aren't going to move here for the environment, for perhaps the aesthetics of the place, but it will become a really interesting industrial, perhaps hub maybe in the future, where other businesses might want to be here, and it could really help our town grow, because to keep rates better, we need more people. There is no doubt every time we look at the rates, we need more people. And in order to get more people, we've got to give them a job. We've got to give them something to do here, to come here and work. So if it's not this, there'll be other types of energy projects that want to come here because of where we're located between the two highways. We're not that far from Adelaide, we're close to Murray Bridge. So I think if it's not this, it will be something else. And I think what the mayor, acting mayor, is doing at the moment and making sure he keeps the lines of communication open, keep asking the questions, keep making prove themselves. And we're not gonna, well, there's probably not a lot we can do, and we'll certainly, if it looks like it's going to be a shambles, we'll be advocating against it. But at this point, we just don't have enough information to confidently say it's going to be really good or really bad.
Councillor Rountree, any other council members wish to contribute? Councillor Bowman?
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. For me, I think since that meeting with Firmus here, the state government in their wisdom has now called a Royal Commission into AI. So I think we'll get more information out of that. It's going to take a little while for that information to come out. I agree with what both councillors have said. The jury's out for me personally on these. I think this district needs to grow. Is this the right industry? I don't know. We need more information. Council's role is advocacy and lobbying to get the information at the moment, and that's what we're doing. Listening to the community as best we can and working for the community and the state government, and also the federal governments are pushing data centre AI factories. I went to that meeting, pardon me, as well, and went in, worried, came out a little less worried, but still still thinking there's a lot of work to be done. And I think work we do could help in the future for other areas that are targeted for data centres or AI factories. And the jury's out for me. But yeah, we have to advocate and lobby to see where we get the right outcome for this community. And the environment. The environment's big to me, so that's my personal opinion on it. Thank you for coming, because it's good. And there should be a lot of community consultation about this. And that's where it's been lax, in my opinion. So,
yeah.
Andrew, if I can, I've been really looking at your question, so I'll specifically answer it. No, I don't intend to challenge the state government, but if the need is there, I absolutely will.
Right.
And that's where I sit at the moment.
Yeah.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Could you actually give councillors an idea of your concerns, specific concerns?
The same as that councillor said, that they're water hungry and power hungry. And sure, they said, they want to do recycled water off the roofs of their buildings, etc. But that's very limited with the Tailem Bend rainfall. And why are they putting it right smack bang near the river? Well, so the water backup is there. But this power, this great demand for power, I mean, in my opinion, the world is, I don't want to get too thing about it, but the whole world's using up too much power. We should be reducing our consumption, not increasing it. This is a massive increase of sucking out power from the system. And it's all avoidable. The whole...
Thank you.
That's, yeah.
So look, I need to respond to that. The information that Firmus have provided and the information that the state government provided is that they will require data centres to generate more energy than they use. And that'll be through renewable energy, such as solar and batteries.
Yeah.
So I think because we're being recorded, I feel compelled to present a different view to your view.
Sure.
And I think it's important, as all the elected members have said, we're in this period now of gathering information. Firmus bringing together that information, it will take a period of time. Under the state government rules for data centres, before they can lodge a development application with the state government, they have to have a clearance from the Office of Technical Regulator for their electricity use, based again on that premise that they generate more energy than they use. And they have to have a clearance from SA Water for their water use. And for Firmus, and I think we can only at this stage give them the opportunity to prove this case, they're saying very clearly their technology is completely different to data centres that have been built previously, where they have a system that's similar to a radiator in your car. So rather than just pulling in water using that to cool machines and pushing it out, the water is circulated. So they use much less water. So I think in my mind, I keep an open mind. I wait for that information to come together. I wait for that information to be tested by SA Water, the Office of Technical Regulator. I wait also for that development application to be released for public comment. And when it is released for public comment and also referred to council for comment, then we'll be able to analyse all the information provided and provide an informed response.
Thank you. Councillor Bland, could you just microphone?
One of the issues that you brought up, and probably been touched on to some degree, but it is how basically the government now works with the water and what they require from Firmus, particularly in relation to licences, where they come from, etc. So again, it's a watch this space to see what that looks like. I am under the impression, and I say it's an impression, that there is no new licences, and there's still some assumptions about how that will look in the future, and we're still not there as far as I know. And I believe that council will watch it very closely. Most of us are very concerned about the water. I come from a bit further south, so we've all seen that happen in the past, and be aware that I think we all have the water and power problem close to our hearts.
Yep.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks.
And to those watching the live stream, Firmus will be doing drop-in centres next week and making themselves available for questions to the community. So please, if you have further questions, go and see them, and it'll be in the town hall in Tailem. And they'll also be doing a webinar online that's on Facebook. Further information. Thank you. Councillors, move into our decision reports. Decision report 10.1 being the Ombudsman advice, treatment of legal advice provided to elected members. Councillor Roundtree.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I have sent through to the ladies a revised or a motion that I would like to put forward in replacement of the recommendation.
Have we got that on the screen?
Can you copy and paste? Not as quick.
Seek.
I'll just ask one
Councillor
question while they're doing that. Why are we bothering putting that in there when this letter from the Ombudsman has gone to all the councils and the LGA? Sorry, if you look at the letter, it's all gone to them. So it's, we're only backing up what they already been said.
So if I may, and then I'll pass to the CEO. One of the comments in the letter is that the Ombudsman essentially requires councils to acknowledge that they have received the advice. So that is where
Correct.
point number one comes from. And the follow-up is around how, if there's any changes to policy, that's addressed through the LGA and then through councils. So the reason it's there as a decision report is that we are, I wouldn't say we are legally required to, but the Ombudsman has distinctly requested that we do put it forward.
I know we haven't got much confidence in the LDA to do, but surely they would follow this up with some sort of policy or well-written, distinct policy on how this should happen. Because, you know, like, in my opinion, it's ratepayers' money. You know, if I'm not happy with something and I want to get an opinion as a member, it'd be my problem, not the ratepayers to pay for it.
Well, Councillor Arthur, you're welcome to that view, and I note that that's what occurred.
Yeah.
Councillor Bland.
Just to, I think this is a process, and I do think that we have a committee that is set up that could actually look at that fairly clearly under governance. And maybe I'm on the wrong track here, but I'd just like to make sure, oh, there's more coming up.
Yeah. So
Apologies, I've just jumped the gun.
Yeah, I was about to raise that.
I apologise, I thought we were finished.
No.
I'll wait.
Prior to, yeah. Providing a report. Yeah, I know, I thought it was just better to put the words in there just in case.
So just to finish that, now that point 3's there, it negates my comment that we have a governance committee and from my perspective, these things can become quite significant issues, and if it's been looked at by the staff, by the governance committee, and then to council, then I believe that there's a good process in place to ensure that we've got it right. But that's just straight off comment. So
Okay, so I have a mover, councillor Roundtree. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Bland. Councillor Roundtree, you have the call.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. The recommendation that was there was pretty good, but I just wanted to see expanded because I don't want to see us be restricted in any way when we're trying to develop a policy that works for this council. So I want to make sure it does go to the Governance and Policy Review Committee before coming back here, because I think there's quite a bit to nut out to make sure we get it right. But it is something we need to consider because years ago we did the mayor seeking legal advice policy because it was necessary. And I think with what's happened, we now need to have another look at this and thrash out a way forward just in case, because it could happen to any of us. And I think we need to have something there just in case and have a good look at it. So that's all I have to say.
Councillor Bland.
no, I think it's all been said. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to enter debate?
I'm just questioning the motion and so I won't support it because I don't support point 3. Why are we going to do a investigation of the policy and ask the LGA to do it? The LGA who have professionals, they have legal advice. We don't have that, and we haven't got everything.
If I may, Councillor Arthur, and talking to the CEO about this is a triage process. So first of all, we're noting the advice from the Ombudsman. We're then asking the LGA to do a model policy.
Yes.
And once that's done, we then look at how it interacts with our existing policies.
That would be perfect.
Well, it doesn't really read like that.
Yes,
If you want to, point 3 should, after advice from the local government association, we will investigate it. Because that sounds like we're going to do the investigation now.
That's not my understanding of how we're seeking to approach this, but
No.
Okay, as I said, I can't support it for that reason.
Through the chair, and one of the simple things that we can do without necessarily needing the LGA's support is just to make it clear about emails that contain confidential information and how we advise elected members when we're issuing emails of that nature and make it absolutely clear. So that's a very simple thing that we don't have to really wait for. So that's why it talks about council's policies and procedures.
some of those will be internal procedures.
Correct.
Anything further, councillor Arthur?
No,
Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Councillor Roundtree, you have the call.
I'll close.
You'll close. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Voting for the motion is councillor Maidment, O'Hara, Bland, Roundtree and Coleman. Those against? Voting against the motion is councillor Arthur. Motion is carried. Moving on to decision report 2. Local Government Association AGM proposed item of business. Councillors, I'll give a brief background on this. This has arisen from the MRLGA board meeting last month regarding the election process for the SAROC Origin President for the Local Government Association. As you would know, this has always been an issue in terms of timing, and that has now been compounded even more so by the decision to extend the local government term, and poses a real risk now for a SAROC Origin President that they may end up out of office midterm. So in seeking to address this, we've looked at a couple of things as the key points that the MRLGA board raised, and the proposal is to go to the AGM to task the board of the LGA to draft the constitutional amendments. To get that motion passed requires 50+1. To get a constitutional motion passed requires 75%. So in terms of seeking success with this, I think that is the best approach to go forward. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Arthur?
I'll be quite prepared to move this motion because it's just common sense. And surely the LGA can work that out. When the last election, they had the president of the LGA was elected and 3 months later, she wasn't a councillor.
Yep.
So, you know, like it just does not make sense the way they've been doing it. And this clears things.
With the extension of term, that could be halfway through a presidency.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So
You'll move?
I'll move that motion, yes.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Thank you, councillor Roundtree. Move councillor Arthur, seconded councillor Roundtree. Councillor Arthur, you have the call.
I think I've worked it out already for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Roundtree.
Agree with councillor Arthur. This is a no-brainer.
Thank you. Any other councillors wishing to enter debate off the back of that comment?
My educated will.
There being none, councillor Arthur, you'll vote.
Opposed?
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item number 3, councillors, there are 2 options for nomination to the LGFA board. One is that we put somebody forward, the other is that we receive a note. Councillor Roundtree.
I'd like to move option 2, please, that we just receive and note the report.
Thank you. You'll second, councillor Arthur,
Yes.
by the looks of that. Any other councillors? Councillor Roundtree, you have the call.
No, now I understand a little bit more about what goes on in nominating people to the local finance authority. I think our time and efforts are better spent elsewhere at the moment in this council. So that's why I'd like to just see we receive a note.
Thank you. Councillor Arthur.
Very professional people that sit on that board and nominated for that board of high quality. So not saying that we haven't got.
Thank you for clarifying that, councillor Arthur.
It's probably more suited to a city-based person.
I'll take that as comment. Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Councillor Roundtree, you'll close.
Yes.
The motion, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Decision report 4. The South Australian Regional Organisation of Council election nominations. Councillors, again, we have 2 options. You'll note that through the MRLGA process, it was acknowledged there were 2 nominees that were prepared to put themselves forward. And there was also a motion through MRLGA that the MRLGA not conduct the election. Hence the second point regarding the standard South Australian election process. Councillors, any thoughts? Councillor Roundtree?
I'm in favour of adopting my option 2 is my preferred. I'd like to move that way.
Thank you. Is there another councillor Bland, you're
I'll second.
seconding? Thank you. Councillor Roundtree, you have the call.
There is quite a process in the SAROC nominations, and same reason as before, really. I just think we've got a small council and we've got enough to do here. And I would rather see us invest our time here at the moment than getting onto other committees.
Councillor Bland?
Of the same opinion. That's fine.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to enter debate?
I'd just like to make a comment that I hope that SAROC gets its act together. Because it has been rather dysfunctional over the last few years, and part of it, the reason is because their tie-up with the LGA hasn't been as good as it should be.
Yeah. Any other councillors? Councillor Roundtree, you're closed.
Closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Sorry, I should have declared conflict of interest for this one. I'm going to see the chair. And please note that I have a material conflict of interest. Councillor Roundtree, could you take that, please?
Okay.
There you go.
So we're looking at item 10.5, the State Bushfire Coordination Committee nomination of a representative, and Councillor Peach has nominated or stated that he would like to be nominated on this committee. Do we have anyone that would like to or move option 1 or option 2?
I'd like to nominate councillor Peach.
Thank you, councillor Bland. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Coleman? Would anyone like to speak to the motion?
Just one comment. This was a position that was held by some time by one of our employees or contractors, Graham Gates. He represented us on that committee for quite a long time.
Thank you, councillor Arthur. Any more comments or questions? Councillor Bland, oh, sorry, councillor Maidment, did you have something to say?
Oh, no, sorry.
okay, it's fine. So your hand-
Sorry, I had an itch.
Councillor Bland, would you like to close?
I think our deputy mayor will represent us quite well across the district. I know we have particularly good staff who also work in this area. And I don't believe that I do believe that we have an area large enough that requires someone from this committee to be on it, and with someone from our council at this point in time being on that is very important.
Great, thank you. Councillor Coleman, anything further to add from you?
I'll literally totally concur with councillor Bland says, and I believe our acting mayor would carry out this job quite well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion then. All those, councillor Bland, you close, or should I? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried unanimously.
Ooh.
Thank you, and my apologies for not identifying that at the commencement of the meeting. Councillors, decision report 6, which is the long-term financial plan with some ways in finance and then audit and risk. Any questions, councillors, before we look at the recommendation? Councillor Arthur, I'm
Quite a few.
gathering from the eye contact that you have a few questions.
One of the things that in this report that the comment that historically has been increase in depreciation due to the additions of assets as a result of council's capital works program and asset revaluation regime. Now, over the 10 years, the depreciation in the 10th year will be $10.57 million. So that's $10.57 million we have to find just to maintain our assets at an acceptable level. Would that be a fair comment?
CEO is cool.
Yes, I'd expect that is, unless Joel's got anything to add to that. Correct?
And yet there, in the capital works side, we've got this recommended the council limit new capital expenditure at this stage to avoid placing further pressure on its operating position. Yet we've got in the pipeline, we've got $500,000 allocated to investigate what will be rather large capital projects. So how do we relate that sort of thing to the comments in the long-term financial plan?
Yes, a clarification question.
Could you clarify what the $500,000 you're referring to is for?
Yeah, for the Tailem Bend, the projects in Tailem
Okay.
Bend.
Thank you. I need to respond to that. So we had $500,000 that we received from the federal government to do design works for 5 projects in the Tailem Bend area. There is no obligation upon council to go further with those projects. However, if RPPP Stream 2 opens up, council may decide to apply for funding, and that funding is extremely generous, and you could very well have a $10 to $15 million investment in Tailem Bend. And apart from potentially 10th Street, they are all existing assets. They're not new assets. So it's not as if you'd be building a new office building, or you'd be building a new library building, or you'd be building, a new quite expensive asset that you added to your asset base. So getting back to, the advice from SCOSA was not to add new assets to your asset base, significant assets, and you've not done that. Very good, apart maybe from a toilet at Canalpin, which I think, it was a very wise decision. And again, largely supported by funding. And I think that's the secret for this council, is actually enhancing the assets you've already got and primarily doing that through funding. And a good example would be Narang Jetty.
Councillor Arthur.
You mentioned Penn Street and that, but blocks of land aren't an asset which you depreciate. So they do not add anything to the depreciation.
I
figure.
need to respond to that.
Oh,
RPP has two elements to it. It has a land division element and it has the potential construction of affordable housing. That was the nature of RPP. Council can consider at the conclusion of that project, so the design and investigation work, they can decide whether they want to move forward with that project. Again, that project, if it moves forward, it would involve most likely significant capital funding from the federal government and or the state government. And in terms of that stock, it doesn't necessarily mean that it ends up being council owned. It could very well be owned by another party. There's a whole lot of permutations and opportunities that can be examined. But what's happened is you've had $500,000 that didn't need to be matched, 100% funding from the feds. And it's doing some really valuable design work in Tailem Bend. And 5 projects, you may decide to go ahead, if you have the funding from the feds, to go ahead with 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them. Choice that council will make, probably in 2027.
thank you. Further questions, councillor?
Yeah, there's just a couple others here. I'd just like, under capital, priority should be given to restoring a surplus operating position before committing to new and upgrade assets. That's one of the things in there.
Agreed.
It's a very good one. Dependency on grant funding really has got me perplexed a little bit,
Age, councillor Arthur?
because it says, I've typed these off. Sorry. Dependency on grant funding is the long-term financial plan may rely on external grant funding to support major initiatives, infrastructure and service delivery. Now, I didn't know grants were there for service delivery. That is what the council rates are for, and most businesses, be they council or whatever, when they're actually borrowing money or whatever to deliver a service, they're in trouble. So I would hope that that is not the case. And the other thing is, in the stormwater and the long-term financial plan there, you've got a surplus of $74,000 per year, every year. Why would we be running a surplus?
Thank you.
Expenditure.
I'll take the grant comment as a comment and question regarding surplus.
Yeah, well, that is a question.
Joel?
10-year long-term financial plan results in a surplus of $74,000 on average per year in the forecast life scale costs required to provide services.
That's cool.
Through the chair, is this, just to clarify, this is regards to stormwater renewals versus depreciation? Is that what we're questioning here?
Well, it's just a statement under stormwater. That is the statement. That's exactly as I've.
Can you tell me which page, please?
Councillor, we might take this one on notice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy to. What I think we may be talking to here, and we elaborated through Finance Committee and Audit and Risk, is that depreciation and renewal are not necessarily going to match going forward because we're shifting to condition-based renewals. So, for example, your long life assets, like an underground concrete stormwater pipe that lasts 80 to 100 years, it's a high value item. it lasts a long time. You know, you could see several iterations of a long-term financial plan before you get to the point that you need to asset. So there'll be many years where renewal expenditure will be well under depreciation because your depreciation is over 80 years as a linear item. And there might be years where we don't have anything that needs renewing because of the condition dictates that we don't need to. And so, yes, your renewal funding is under your depreciation, meaning that you do have a little bit of a surplus against your renewals.
The statement in that is actually, it's $750,000. All right, we'll go on. It's been taken on
We've
note.
taken on notice, so.
The other one here, I'm
I don't know.
a bit non-complex with this one. Councillors, please be advised that SCADA implementation is required across the CWMS network to meet ESCOSA's compliance. There's nowhere in ESCOSA's report.
I'll take that one on.
Let's
Love
see
to
it.
take that one on.
CEO has the call.
Now, ESCOSA doesn't just do the review of local government finances. There's a part of ESCOSA that looks at.
So that's a separate report you got.
Can I just?
CEO has the call.
Can I just answer? ESCOSA, Essential Services Commission of South Australia, also does reviews of public utilities and been involved with ESCOSA coming through and doing a review of SWIMS when I was at Berry Barmer. And they go through and they look at how you're managing the equipment, how you're managing your quality control, how you're managing your risks, and they produce quite a extensive report. And if they've recommended that SCADA needed to be implemented, then that would be in that report, not in the ESCOSA report that looks at financial sustainability.
Thank you. The director has a call.
Yeah.
Just to provide a bit more clarity. So the ESCOSA advice around the SCADA is very specific to our SRM TMP, Safety, Reliability, Maintenance and Technical Management Plan for our CWMS. It's a legislative requirement that we have one of those. And I guess the requirement around SCADA is off the back of that ESCOSA recognise that we have a lack of emergency storage at our pump stations. So in an ideal world, you'll have your pump chamber and then you'll have an emergency storage chamber should your pumps go down. So you've got some buffer there that you can still accept intake while you repair a pump. Because if you don't have an automated notification system, you might need longer to go and respond. What ESCOSA has said is that if we implement SCADA at our pump stations, they are satisfied that we meet our requirements around emergency and response, for example, and that we don't need to go and spend an extraordinary amount of money putting additional underground chambers in for emergency storage. So that is the more specific side of why they are talking to SCADA.
Okay. It's just the last one.
Last question,
The
councillor.
last question. Why has the funding profile for Meningie Library been revised from 4 years back to 3?
I'll take that one.
CEO has the call.
I'll take that one. Because that's what the state government wanted to, it was essentially the state government decision as to whether they allowed 4 or 3. And then when I went back to them to negotiate the terms of the agreement, they said they would only accept 3 years.
Yep.
So it's not our choice, but the good side of it though is that the cost was reduced by around about, I think, 170,000.
Is that a set figure quote?
Yeah, that is.
That's
Actually, that
the
is.
total we'll have to
So,
pay.
I don't know, and I will explain that. So the way this particular tender was undertaken was with very, very thorough pricing against the design. So and also there is a reasonable contingency in the contract as well. So whilst there will be a review in year 3, I really don't expect that price to be exceeded because of the way the tender was managed.
Thank you. Councillors, any further questions on the LTFP? Councillors, as a recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Roundtree moving.
Yes.
Seconded, Councillor Bland. So Roundtree, you have the call.
No, thank you for all the answers today. We have gone over these before, so it was good to hear them again. I'm happy.
Thank you, councillor Bland.
No, I'm happy with.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to enter debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to decision report 7, delegations review. The executive officer has a call.
Through the chair, I might actually invite up our organisational development coordinator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think perhaps the best way I can explain this is, are you all aware that what you're doing, about to do, I broke it up to the recommendation. Number 1, you're wiping the powers of those acts that currently exist, so they're gone. But in the next breath, in number 2, you're giving them back to us because there are new clauses in those various acts. Is there about 7 there, I think? Yes. And the best way I could break this down for you, because I know it is a lot to read, those coloured tables in your report, they give a very, very, very high level overview of what's changed, or what's new, I should say. The attachments that were under separate cover that were I think there was about 600 pages there, and if you were flicking through them, you might see a blue line highlighted every now and then. That's just to show you that's what's changed. I think that's probably the easiest way I can explain it. Are there any questions about the how or the why? And yeah, you would have seen there that there's everyday acts we use, some new legislation about the election next year, about the requirement to hold a public candidate meeting, which the governance committee will discuss this afternoon. A lot of changes for planning, quite a few there. Graffiti control, expiation, dog and cat, so quite a mixed bag.
Thank you, Ben. And
Yeah.
before I take a question, I'll just note in proposed item 4 that in the instances under the Road Traffic Act, the person needs to be named, which is why there's a difference between 3 and 4.
Yes,
I
thank
did
you.
ask that question already.
Yep.
Councillor Bland.
Beat me to the post. That's all good. I just wanted to know why we're now naming individuals. Follow-up question is every time somebody changes, does that then have to come back to this
It will have to
chamber?
come back to chamber in that instance, correct?
So this would come back quite regularly.
So what we're saying is
Fingers
Joel
crossed.
needs to be in the role for as long as possible.
Yeah,
Save the work of the chamber. Thank you.
making the.
Any other questions? There being none, councillors, the recommendation is quite specific. Do I have somebody who's prepared to move that way? Councillor Coleman, is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor O'Hara. Councillor Coleman, you have the call.
All good.
Thank
There,
you.
well explained. Thank you, Ben.
Councillor
Thank
O'Hara.
you.
Yeah, no, got nothing.
Any councillors wishing to enter debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, Ben, for
Thank you.
the explanation. Councillors, moving on to decision report 8. Recommendation. It's a very short report as there have not been any requests for an internal review. Councillors, anybody prepared to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Roundtree, seconded Councillor Maidment. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Decision report 9. Grant of lease Tintinara Oval. This has been at public consultation. Councillors, any questions? No questions. There is a recommendation. Is there a mover that way? Thank you, Councillor Bland. Is there a seconder? Councillor Maidment. Councillor Bland, you have the call.
No, I'm happy with it. It's
Thank
had due
you.
diligence done.
Councillor Maidment.
No, all good, thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to enter debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to decision report 10. I will go to the Director for Roads and Infrastructure by way of introduction.
Thank you, Chair. And through the Chair, purpose of this report is to, I guess, primarily table the first of 6 revised asset management plans. So these first two are for community wastewater management systems and stormwater systems. So they are separated into their own asset management plans. These have been built off the back of a lot of work over the last 6 months. And so the purpose is to send them out for community consultation for a period of 6 weeks. I guess for review, and then come back to council for any further comment. These serve are a very informative document. They are quite long and lengthy. So happy to take any questions by exception as read. But they are an accumulation of all the valuation information that we've done, and then they propose, I guess, the work plan in terms of renewing those assets over the next 10 years, based on their condition and requirements.
Thank you. Councillors, any questions? I'll just say I was very appreciative of reading them. They're quite detailed and said a lot of things.
Yeah.
So well done. Councillor Coleman?
Thank you, Acting Mayor, and through the chair to our director. Thank you very much for a comprehensive report, and property members. The most important thing was you mentioned in here in various clauses and tables what is anticipated action in dealing with the expansion or increase of CWMS in line with our planned growth in various locations in the council. So well done, and that's what I had a bit of a concern. So it looks like we're onto it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair. Absolutely, the intent with these documents is to not arc or shelve them until they need to be redone. These certainly serve as a living document. Things can change with your infrastructure at any time.
Yep.
And so the intent would be that when that does occur, that we do an immediate update to make sure that the plan reflects the now, not 4 years ago, for example. So that is the intent in terms of a rhythm with them going forward. Once we've got all 6 in place, it's just a constant dialogue, and there could well be, 18 months into, I guess, the 4-year term of a plan, we may come back to council and say we now need to reconsider things because of this. If Stanley Street development, for example, if that comes online, well, that adds a whole new dynamic to this CWMS asset management plan. So rather than wait 4 years, the moment that all comes to fruition, we can put all that information into the asset register, informs the valuation, informs the asset management plan, informs the LTFP, and we can keep things very linear and very aligned.
Thank you. Councillors, any further questions? Councillor Arthur?
Yeah, page 208 on the electronic version, the forecast costs for the long-term financial plan. We've got it split up here into operation,
Yep.
maintenance,
Yep.
and renewal. So which is $800,000 a year. That is that the actual running costs?
Yep. So generally speaking, we spend.
Operational, that would be electricity and all
So
that.
operation is, your electricity is your staff costs associated with it. Any licensing fees and costs. And then your maintenance is your reparables. Back truck to unblock, pumps that need fixing, switchboards that need fixing.
And renewal, is that virtually your depreciation figure?
Yeah, well, it's not the
Roughly.
depreciation figure. The renewal is, and if you go to the end of the document, there's a whole list of, based on condition, proposed projects for the next 10 years. And so the numbers come from that. They assess when a switchboard went in and they apply a life to it. And if we're getting to the end of that switchboard's life, rather than wait for failure, we be proactive.
Got the annual depreciation expenses, 489,000.
Yep. And so as you can see in that table that you just spoke to, sometimes we're under it, sometimes we're over it, depending on the needs of that year, based on the condition.
Yep.
So
Councillors, if I may, going forward, separating depreciation from renewal should mean we don't end up with any nasty surprises, because it's based on the fact of the asset, not an estimated figure overall.
Correct.
Councillors, any further questions? Councillor Bland.
Yes, actually, in relation to the forecast costs, operation and maintenance costs don't vary at all over 10 years. Is that going to be applied is there a magic formula built into the
Yeah,
first and last
yeah.
line?
So it's a measure of not having CPI and CPI. So it's just to set a base level, and then we can adopt that in terms of, I mean, those numbers are pretty much what we spend currently, and we naturally do our own CPI increases to that. It's just to set the base level, because the danger is that it can get confusing if you add some CPI figures there and then we plug that in and we add another CPI figure to it. It just gives the base level, and then we add our own CPI to it. So it is a bit bemusing to look at and you think, well, how can that be? We can't just be spending the same amount over the long term. But
Follow-up question on that, if I might.
Councillor Bland.
That is, with the way you've just talked about it then, in terms of a new budgeting process, is this going to be looked at and updated at that point?
through the chair,
Operation
for
maintenance.
operation and maintenance, no, that stays as it is. I guess it's just set as the numbers for year one. And so, what I'll do is I'll get some wording. I'll take this query on notice and I'll get some wording around it that can articulate why it be like that and not a progressive increase.
So I guess my question is that when will it come back to council when those figures are adjusted on an annual basis?
Like in terms of the operation and maintenance. I'll take that on notice and put together some dialogue so that we can better understand that. And
thank you.
Additionally, I guess in the next 6 weeks, as this is out for consultation, we feel the need for a short workshop to run through and answer any questions. Happy to do so.
I'm happy to wait for consultation.
Thank you. I've got that as a question on notice.
Yeah.
Councillors, any further questions? Councillors, being none, there is a recommendation. Thank you. Do I have a mover for the recommendation as it currently reads? Thank you, Councillor Arthur. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Bland. Councillor Arthur, you have the call.
Agree and get the report. Thank you for it.
I'm happy as is, thanks.
Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Councillors, decision report 11. The Capital Projects Program Adjustment for Community Wastewater Management Systems. Councillors, I'll just note that this is not a budget variation. This is an explanation to the chamber that what the budget was originally allocated for is changing. So I'll go to the director.
Thank you, Chair, and through the Chair. So for the annual business planning, this is CWMS renewal program, $199,000 of budget. We had, I guess, the 3 original projects or programs within the CWMS asset pool. Early quoting, I'll take a step back. What has come up post adopting the annual business plan is a critical PLC treatment plant at Tailem Bend. And I guess this probably is a good articulation of why we are going to a more condition-based assessment and development of our capital program, because if you don't go down that methodology, this is what happens. We get a very acute need for a critical piece of infrastructure to consider how do we go and get that done. We're very fortunate that early quoting has identified some big savings in a couple of the projects. And so the purpose of this report is to say that we're just going to bring in another project, and that is to replace the PLC and switchboard at the Tailem Bend Wastewater Treatment Plant, and that the cost of that is just offset by savings within the program. So no change to the overall budget for the CWMS program of renewals. It's just that we're bringing in an extra project through necessity.
Thank you. Councillors, any questions? Seeing none.
I just,
Councillor Roundtree?
it's just that the chart is so neat. Like the exact amount that you've been able to save is the exact amount that we need. How did you manage to get that so perfect?
Hey,
Like, I mean,
no.
you know, it looks all a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
I may have asked the same question.
Yeah.
Ask it, but then I was
So
like,
it has worked out that way. I can tell you that if it was so the lid renewals various is a flexible line. We essentially have a number there and we go around and get as many lid renewals as we can do. If we needed more than $72,000, we would have dropped off some of those lid renewals and that would have been the fluctuating item. If we didn't need, say we needed $50,000, well, we would have put a bit more extra into lid renewals on those other saved projects. So I totally respect that it looks neat. It is honestly just how it has ended up.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, I can provide quotes to show that that is the case.
I just
But
think
we
it's-
would have always used that lid renewals line
Yeah.
as a fluctuating item to balance.
Yeah. So you'd like a bit of fat in the budget for the.
Yeah. I mean, they're very unique and specific bits of infrastructure, and we now have good rigor around what those numbers should look like going forward as per the asset management plan.
Windows security and privacy alert. Important security.
Bill's going on here.
That might be you.
Hold your power off button.
For
Been there.
yeah.
So I switched it off, whatever.
So I would like to think that we get those numbers more accurate going forward because we're far better informed through valuation.
Oh, that's happened to
Thank
me.
you. I'm
You fiddle with things.
going
Thank you, I appreciate that.
to
No
go
worries.
slow at the moment.
Yeah.
Just ask, are there any other questions, councillors?
No worries. There you go.
Good. Thank you. Councillors, the recommendation. Thank you, councillor Roundtree moving. Councillor O'Hara seconding. Councillor Roundtree, you have the call.
No, it was a good report. It makes sense. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor O'Hara.
It's all been done.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to have?
Can I just ask one question? Sorry.
Councillor Arthur?
How much, well, what can we say? Have we looked ahead for the processing factory sort of thing of the CWS with the anticipated increase in population in the Tailem Bend area?
No,
The CEO has the call.
that's probably one for me because that's more about the growth structure plan. So we've got a draft. We've got a Coorong growth strategy and now we've got a draft Tailem Bend growth structure plan. And with that as well, and you'll see shortly, there was a infrastructure review undertaken to determine the capacity of existing systems, including SWIMS, to service the population increase. And it's modest, so it doesn't necessarily take into account 500 jobs appearing in the next 5 years, although that might happen. So it's more modest. It looks at 1,000 new homes in Tailem Bend between now and 2050. And it provides the ability for the infrastructure to be gradually expanded over that period of time. There's no doubt if this district was so lucky to get a business that wanted to employ 500 people permanently, that council would have to accelerate its activity quite substantially. And look, that's not much different to what's happening currently at Murray Bridge. So if we look at Murray Bridge, probably if we said Murray Bridge 5 years ago, you're going to have a Gifford Hill, you're going to have all this significant growth. They would say, oh, our plans probably don't, predict that, but it's happening now, and they're accelerating their planning. They're working with the state government to accelerate the infrastructure provision. So again, you know, if this council was so lucky to get a new business that was, you know, going to employ 500 people, that's actually nice. That's a nice problem to have. And you'd work it out.
Thank you. Any?
But you
councillor-
know, they increased their CWS scheme some years ago, didn't they? What I'm saying is, you know, if you're talking another 1,000 homes, it's going to have a significant effect on what we've got there. And part of it is paid by the developer,
Yep.
right? But,
Councillor, this is not relating to the topic at hand here,
well,
and we're in debate. I asked for questions and I've moved into debate. I've got a mover and a seconder. So I'm happy to, questions without notice, please bring it up again.
Yep.
But I am in debate. Any further councillors wishing to enter debate? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 12, update to the elected members' allowance, benefits and support policy, which is directly relating from the motion carried by the chamber at the last meeting. Councillors, any questions? Councillor O'Hara, you're moving. Noting Councillor Roundtree has left the room at 11:16. Is there a seconder? Councillor Maidment. Sorry, a split second decision there. Councillor O'Hara, you have the call.
Yeah, no, look, I'm happy. I think everyone was happy with the workshop, so.
You, Councillor Maidment.
No, I'm all good with it. Thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to enter debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Decision report 13. A revised community engagement policy, summary of community engagement. This is as a direct result of the Act. Councillors, any questions? Noting that we are receiving the community engagement findings and then adopting the new policy as amended. No questions, councillors, as a recommendation. Councillor Coleman, you're moving.
I have a question, sorry.
Question? Councillor Coleman.
Well, maybe I'm missing something here, Mr. Mayor, Acting Mayor, and members. Attachment 1 with the community engagement policy, and it's got community engagement, community participation, communications. With the communications, it seems to be mentions only all electronic stuff and doesn't really go into that topics and the Lakelander and Carnarvon Community Hub does that as well. I thought that would have been mentioned in there because we.
Councillor, what page are you on there, please?
First of the attachment 1 of the policy. It's probably only 3 pages in. I've got a hard copy here. It's a bit hard, I'm sorry. The first page of the community engagement policy itself, and it says community engagement.
So through the chair.
Chair has the call.
Through the chair, if you look at section 7 in the table, so the table talks about the mandatory minimum actions required to meet the charter's requirements, and it talks about the categories. So you have significant, which is such as your annual business plan and your rating policy, and there it has news publications, so public information about the matter. So that's where print where available, but otherwise digital. So, you know, Talent Topics is listed there in that box on the right-hand side of page 6 of 20.
I got it.
So it is covered. And I think the main thing to note is, you know, the level of engagement is tailored to the significance of the matter that's being consulted on.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Any other questions, councillors? There is a recommendation. Somebody prepared to move that way? Councillor Coleman moving. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bland. Councillor Coleman, you have the call.
Oh, just a comment now, and we had that submission that said sometimes it's very disappointing the engagement, the amount of engagement we do have with the community. So we have to work a bit harder, I suppose, getting the word out there and getting people more involved and have a real great number of people that do get involved, unfortunately.
Thank you. I would just note in relation to that comment that public questions are allowed at monthly meetings, as we saw earlier in this meeting. Councillor Bland, do you have anything further?
No, I'll close.
Thank you. Any other councillors wishing to enter debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Council's decision report 14, infrastructure damage and reinstatement policy, summary of community engagement. Councillors, are there any questions for administration? I did love the response to question 7. It just makes sense. There being none, councillors, as a recommendation. Is there a mover? Thank you, Councillor Bland. Seconder, Councillor Mayment. Councillor Bland, you have the call.
No, I'm happy with these things.
Thank you, Councillor Mayment.
No, covered all this, thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Decision report 15, which is the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting. I believe we're all there, councillors. Is somebody prepared to move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Roundtree. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor O'Hara. Councillor Roundtree at the call.
Nothing further to add?
Thank you, Councillor O'Hara.
Nothing.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Decision report 16. Audit and Risk Committee minutes of the meeting held. Councillor Bland, would you like to provide any comment as councillor on the committee?
Sorry, I'm still getting to that point, but no, it was a particularly good meeting, very many items strongly discussed, and I haven't got them right in front of me now, so I'm feeling a little bit getting through this computer. No, I think probably generally we are at a point where having good reports from staff, we are on board with the majority of the items. And unfortunately, we are losing one member who has been with us now for a couple of years, and she is moving on, and I'm sure we will find our replacement to be as equally energetic, I should say, in relation to the chamber. But right now I have nothing particularly that stands out to add.
Thank you. And I will note that we did acknowledge Karen Burton for her service, which was over a period of 4 years, and thanked her for her dedication and time. I repeat that today. The one thing I will note to the chamber is the item 11, which was around procurement exemptions. Audit and Risk had some questions and queries around the process involved in this, and did ask that the new incoming Chief Executive Officer and the Governance Committee review the procurement policy and just tighten up some categorisation. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Corwin?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Bland. Number 9, adoption of the long-term financial plan. If I may, Councillor, what was their view of our financial plan? Are they happy with it, or just briefly, what do you think?
I think they're happy with the process that we're going through. I think generally the monitoring and movement has been watched closely. Good questions overall in relation to the committee. I think the new members on the committee over the past period of time are now fully up to speed on our processes, and I don't believe that they're unhappy at all with that. Very good discussion around it overall.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Councillors, the recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Coleman moving. The recommendation is a motion. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Mayment. Councillor Coleman, you have the call.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mayment. Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to decision report 17, the minutes of the Health Advancement and Advisory Committee. I will just note for those following along to this meeting that it has been great to hear that community midwifery is back in the Coorong Council area in response to advocacy from our community. And I did have some calls this week about that from people that read our minutes, so I'm pleased to see that that was being noted. And we have had a very constructive conversation with the LHN, including around how we can better advertise these services, because while it is back, it wasn't as well known as it perhaps could have been. Councillors, any questions regarding the minutes of the Health Advisory Committee? Being none, is anybody prepared to move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Roundtree. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Maidment. Councillor Roundtree, you have the call.
No, I'm very pleased to hear that we are getting those services back. And you're right, we do need to get out there and promote this a lot more. But I'm happy with how the committee's going, and we're slowly making some headway, which was great news.
Thank you, Councillor Maidment.
No, I just agree totally with Councillor Roundtree, working out quite well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further councillors wish to enter debate? Being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to decision report 18, which is actually the meeting at which that particular item I just addressed came up. Councillors, is there a move for the motion, for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Maidment. Seconder? Councillor Bland. Councillor Maidment, you have the call.
I've got nothing else to say. I think we've already covered it, so I'm happy to close.
Thank you, Councillor Bland.
Same.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to decision report 19, the meeting of the Murraylands and Riverland Local Government Association. Councillors, I'll give you a brief update from this meeting. It was the most constructive meeting at the MRLGA I think I've attended, which was good to see. There was some good contributions from all of those present, including around that motion that we dealt with earlier in the agenda. You'll note at the end of this document, there are two further documents. One is the charter of the MRLGA and some proposed amendments that will be coming to CEOs and chambers for further consultation in a dedicated process, but I move that it be included so that we can have a look at that now and make sure that it's publicly available. The other document that may be of interest to councillors is the financial rationale for how the funds of the MRLGA are handled. That is in here in a draft form. And one of the things that the board did do was task the MRLGA CEO with providing specific policy documents around how the funds of the association are handled. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Bland.
611 of the report, it's around District Council's matters for discussion. Is there any real update on any of that at all?
Sorry,
Sorry, that is the impact of wild dogs and power generation.
So power generation, so there was a motion moved to continue advocacy around that, which was carried. With regards to the wild dog situation, there was the motion ended up landing in further discussions from the MRLGA's point of view with PIRSA to ensure that community is fully informed of the risk and encourage reporting so that we can quantify any issues and damage. That was quite well received by the board.
The other question I have really is around the Murray-Darling Basin. Has there been any discussion or any further discussions, I should say, in relation to, sorry, I'm just trying to find it here. Apologise, been a bit slow on the computer today. Sorry, I've just lost it, but any further discussions basically on MRLGA's
Nothing
with government on the basin plan?
Nothing that would be out of change to what we would already know.
Thank you.
I would also note, councillors, that the MRLGA CEO review did not take place as part of that meeting, and it's going to happen at a future point in time. We ran out of time, so that was deferred. Any other questions, councillors?
Yeah, mine's just a carry on from Councillor Bland's regarding the motion regarding the wild dogs. You know, there is a wild dog committee which I'm on as a council rep, and it's council reps from the areas that are affected, Statiara, us, Southern Valley. There's PIRSA reps on that committee. There's Livestock Australia, South Australia reps on that committee. There's the SA Wool Growers, I think it's called, who's the chair of that committee, and also Landscape Board officers that are on that committee. So why are you getting information from, from a committee that is actually formed purely for looking at the actions of wild dogs? And also the wild dog coordinator for South Australia does go on that committee.
So this
And-
wasn't about further information. This was about advocacy around the issue and ensuring that the community, particularly in the areas that might be affected, had communication to them that meant that they knew what to do in the event of a wild dog attack.
But that's been done in the last 12 months. Every landowner has been notified up there, and every landowner they've had actually conferences where they've come together, 40 or 50 people about baiting together and that sort of thing. And I think it's quite imperative, it's interesting to see last week one of the farmers from the Little Desert sent a bill to the Victorian government for $40,000 for the lambs and sheep he'd just had mauled.
One of the specific concerns raised from your committee through PIRSA was underreporting. And that was where the advocacy was going from. So it was coming out of the Wild Dog Committee through PIRSA, was around underreporting in the affected areas.
We were underreporting.
PIRSA is concerned that producers are not necessarily reporting.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and that was one of the things that was being advocated to see if there's a way that MRLGA through its constituent councils could help address that.
Well, that is one of the part of the things they're trying to educate. There is an online portal there where you go and report a sighting or an attack.
And this was also
very used very much.
This was also off the back of the meeting of the Cross-Border Commissioner, and the reality is this is the Victorian government's fault and problem, and there is unlikely to be any change between now and November. But it is 100 days to the state election there, so it'll be interesting to see what resolves after that.
Yep. And they're starting to come over the border.
They are. And the risk to our council is that they come through Narcat and pop out at Tintinara.
Exactly.
Councillors, any other questions from the LGA minutes? There being none, there's a recommendation. Councillors. Thank you, Councillor Roundtree. Seconder. Councillor Bland. Don't rush me all. Councillor Roundtree, have the call.
Nothing further?
Thank you, Councillor Bland.
No.
Any other councillors wish to enter debate? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, that brings a close to our decision reports. Information report 11, item 11, the Office of the CEO. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Moment.
Thank you, Acting Mayor, and through the chair. It's not really a question, it's a comment, if I may. Page 76 of the report. I attended the Susie Evans Meet the Author sessions here at Taylor, and they were really, really informative. And I just wanted to congratulate Tammy O'Malley on getting that all done. It's an important issue, being mental well-being and grief, resilience, and I don't think there's enough information out there. So I know the one at Taylor was for some members there, it was very enlightening, and it was good for them to have someone to speak to, and there was a lot of tears, but it was well done. So, yeah, more of it, and well done, Tammy.
Thank you. Councillors, any further questions or comments?
Yes, page 453 on the electronic financial reporting. Why don't we get any of the financial statements until November?
CEO.
Continually ask at the present moment, and I think, like it's a valid concern with a lot of people, how did the council finish up this year? And I've got to say, well, I don't know. But you're a councillor, you should know. Oh, no, we don't get told that till November. Till November? That's her answer. Now, I don't care. And I think the general ratepayer doesn't care if they're audited or unaudited. And to leave the final figures till the end of November is just, like ignoring the ratepayers who want to know about these things. And surely the BAS statement's been done. And we've claimed for our diesel rebate this year and all that sort of thing. So why can't the figures come out?
CEO has the call.
Because they need to be audited.
I don't care.
I'm afraid local
Big
government-
companies put things out that are unaudited.
That would,
That would be through our BR process.
through the chair, the normal process that we've done every year, that we presented, if necessary, in the draft form to the Finance Committee in November, then they'll be presented to the Audit and Risk Committee, which I would expect they'll be fully audited by that date, and then they'll be presented to the November council meeting. It's a very normal process. To not do that, you risk potentially releasing figures that will be changed later on. Shouldn't be doing that.
Just one
That's right.
further comment, and that's it. So if it was a normal election year this year, and I was an incoming member, I wouldn't know what the situation of council is from last year because the finances haven't been divulged.
Well, Councillor, you wouldn't know the final figure, but you would have a very good indication from BR3,
From where?
from Budget Review 3, in terms of how the finances are tracking.
Good.
Any further questions, councillors? There's a recommendation to receive and note, councillors. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Qualman, second to Councillor Roundtree. Councillor, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillors, the next report, 11.2, is the Community Corporate Information Report. Any questions? Councillor Moment.
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor, and through you. I'm just trying to find the page. It's 102, I think. Yep, the general planning statistics are up a fair way. That's a good thing, isn't it? People querying about building, I dare say, and plans. Customer service stats, is that what I'd be looking at there under the planning?
Greg has a call.
I probably would hope so, Councillor Maidment. No, our development application numbers are down.
Oh,
So
it just looked like,
hopefully-
that,
hopefully
well, they're phone calls. So there's been a lot of phone calls by the looks.
my fingers crossed is there queries that will result in development application.
Sure. And,
Just hold on, Councillor Moment.
no,
Greg.
you're right.
Through the chair, I also believe that some of those queries could have been in relation to prior to the Thermos session as to whether
Gonna
the
ask that.
agent or us are in charge of development. So
Yep.
they are.
A good point.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Moment.
I did have another one on, where is it? Page 100, we go back 2 pages with incident types. I note here that there's absolutely no aggressive customer marked there at all. Now, when we do these reports, the phone calls come into this because I know that a lot of or a couple of the customer service officers of the front desk have been getting aggressive customers on the phone. Now, whether or not they're encouraged or don't want to report it, I'm curious because, for anybody that's listening to this podcast, that's atrocious behaviour and it shouldn't be happening because the girls in the front office are
I'll get the CEO to answer the question around whether the phone calls are recorded, and then
Yeah.
I'll ask that you deal with that specific instance with the CEO offline.
So if a aggressive phone call results in, any level of trauma, with a staff member, then it will be reported as an incident. And it's really important that we gather that information. One, you know, we may very well, you know, feed it back to, or get back to the caller to tell them that it's inappropriate. Put them on notice. Look, if they've been really, really abusive, we could report it to the police. But also, most importantly, we need to take care of our staff. So we'd make sure that our staff are looked after and we follow up with them if that occurs.
So it takes the staff member themselves to report it before it goes onto this report, or?
Craig?
Yep.
Yeah, so it would be up to the customer service representative to log that. If they've come to see a manager or something about an incident, they would be encouraged to log it.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is we also make sure that our service reps are trained in how to deal with those calls, and if they're definitely advised if something is getting aggressive or they're feeling under pressure in any sort of way, they have steps to take to shut that call down before it gets
Okay.
for an uptick.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Does that answer the question, councillor?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Media and corporate are on. Councillors being none, there is a recommendation, as there tends to be. Councillor Roundtree,
Yep.
you're moving that way. Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Maidment. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Brings us to 11.3, which is the roads and infrastructure report. Councillors, questions? Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Acting Mayor, through the chair to the Director of Roads and Infrastructure. I see in the photographs here and page 21 of the hard copy, picture of a concrete slab getting ready for the coming new standpipes upgrades. How far are we going with that, and where are we at? Please?
Director has a call.
Yeah, through the chair, guess we're in the early phase of the first three in terms of installs. If what I might do is just take it on notice and I can provide you a detailed.
I was just interested to see how they're going. That's all.
Yeah, three. So Cook Plains, Tailem Bend, and I just need to remember the third one. That yeah, I'll take it on notice. But there's three that are a bit earlier. We got those ordered earlier. The delivery of the second lot of three standpipes was a month or so after that. We haven't started planning those installs yet. So, but what I'll do is I'll take it on notice and I can give you a time frame update on it. No.
Thank you. Further questions? Councillor Coleman.
Another one. Thank you, Acting Mayor, through the chair again to our Director of Roads and Infrastructure. I'm going to Murray Bridge the other day. Just went past the weighbridges on our last road before we hit the boundary. Slavin Road, there was, looked like some resheeting happening and a bright yellow roller in tow. Is that our new roller?
Through the chair, the work that you observed was work by the Rural City of Murray Bridge on their road. That's not council's road, that one.
Oh, just the yellow roller caught my eye, that's all.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
don't worry, I've been driving that road to see how they go about that work to make sure that we maintain a good standard broadly.
Thank you, Councillor Bland.
Did you see my eye, Mr. Mayor? Look, just a quick question. I note on page, now I've just hit the wrong thing. I give up today. In relation to mowing the verge north of Meningie, and I'm assuming it's north and that's lovely. The machinery used, it seems to be slightly inadequate. I'm sure we have something better to be able to slash that area back. Seems, I'm very happy with the look. It's a great look coming into Meningie to see all of that mowed, but I may be not seeing the photograph particularly well. However, I am wondering, is there a better way of doing it?
If I could just note that the verge slashing in Meningie, that's a tractor, not a lawnmower. Yeah, in that photo.
Right. Now I know that.
Don't worry, but I thought it was
worried
a mile
about-
when I first saw the bonnet, but it is tractor.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, that's our tractor with the flail mower, 3-point linkage flail mower.
Right, it does
the
look
back.
good and I'll
Yep.
compliment staff on that. The other question I have is the Meningie Aerodrome, and I notice we're filling in the rabbit scratchings yet again. I'd like to say in history, I've definitely been on the end of that shovel in the past. And this just reiterates the need for us to be looking at ways of seeking grant funding for resealing. That can be quite time consuming. It's also quite dangerous in terms of plane problems that may
Yeah.
occur because of the rabbit scratchings.
Yeah, through the chair, acutely aware of the concept of looking to seal the aerodrome. I think it's captured on our strategic projects list. Highly expensive item, 7-figure sum probably, because we've basically got to build a pavement and seal it. So effectively, we're probably looking at a similar cost to Carcooma Road per square metre. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure how long the runways are, but we were $450,000 a kilometre out at Carcooma Road, so I can only envisage that it's a similar rate of cost to build an airport runway. But happy to, I guess, in terms of airport funding, the only one we're aware of is Regional Airport Program, 50-50 funding. So whatever the project costs, we would need to find 50% of it. It's a new and upgrade project. We couldn't fund it through renewal. We would need to find those dollars. Nothing's impossible, but it would be a fair game of grant Tetris to try and minimise our input in terms of contribution.
Can I just make a further comment in relation to that? I think we need to be a little proactive in this area as well. This not only supports the community, but tourism. And we've talked about some of that in the past. This has been sitting here for discussion for some time. In relation to the airport, we would need to also look at what is potentially bigger. I'd like to have further discussion of infrastructure on this one again.
The CEO has a comment, then Councillor O'Hara. Sorry, CEO comment first, and then.
Oh, sorry, mate. Through the chair, I think I've said this a few times, and there's a bit of an example here with Murray Bridge at the moment with the $3-point-something million that they've got from the sale of the nursing home, and they've gone to the community and they've said, "Oh, tell us what you think we should spend this money on." We do potentially have some surplus land sales coming through, and to me, where especially in that LTFP, we have not identified a $500,000 spend on a project like that. It may very well come down to the ability to do it requires some surplus land to be sold, and then I think what would be smart for council to do is identify through a strategic project list, not just grants, but also surplus land provision revenue being earmarked for certain projects. I think that'd be a good exercise to go through, maybe especially with the new chamber after April.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hara.
Yeah, just a question for the infrastructure man, which you probably can't answer. But last week, and a number of people have brought it up to me, including Councillor Bland, our workers at Meningie drove out at Browns Beach to pick up the rubbish after 2 inches of water and got bogged. Like Browns Beach, people love getting down there on the lawned area. There was puddles there 2 foot deep, and these idiots drove out there.
Councillor O'Hara.
These gentlemen drove out there and got bogged, And it's very unsightly now.
The question is, what are we doing to fix it? Thank you. Director?
I think it's probably fair to say that on reflection, and those staff have openly expressed that they made a mistake. What can we do now? We can wait for it to dry out and top dress it and tidy it up. And we move forward with the hope that our staff learnt from a mistake.
As long as you're aware of it.
I was aware of it.
And it sounds like it's been dealt with. Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Coleman?
If I may again, thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. A comment, and you know, previously I spoke many a time regarding Railway Terrace, the lawn, garden rows where the roses grow between Railway Terrace and the new car park. And we've had issues with wool patches and sand, and looks not quite that pretty. And I see our staff have taken the opportunity while the revamp of the car park occurred, and now have hopefully repaired our troublesome submersible irrigation system. So we'll wait for a bit of warm weather, Mr. Mayor, and then
We'll find out.
some nice, hopefully some green grass to come through on the bald spots.
Does the director have any comments?
Other
No,
fingers
just take the comment, through the chair. Our Tailem Conflac staff have been very good. They really want to take ownership of these little bits and pieces. You know, we offer the opportunity to get some support by external contractor to come and complete these tasks, but they're really intent on doing it themselves and making sure they get it how they would like it. So we'll continue to work with them as they, find those little opportunities to improve things in and around the car park.
Thank you.
Well done.
Councillor Bland.
I have one in a question in relation to Pangarinda, and certainly lovely to see trainees from the Adelaide Botanic Gardens down working with staff. Is it possible for us to have the number of hours that our staff, including the LAP program, are contributing on a monthly basis or seasonal basis? Because I'm sure it does adjust. And also in relation to our volunteer program there and where that's at in terms of numbers.
Thank you, councillor. I'll take that on notice.
Yep.
For a full answer. Been captured. Councillors, any further questions or comments? No. I'll just make comment, congratulate staff and the contractor again on the Ford Avenue intersection upgrade. It is an outstanding job, and I thank staff for the increased access for mobility that's been implemented recently. Councillors, there is a recommendation. Councillor Coleman. The seconder. Thank you, Councillor Maidment. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It is carried unanimously. Councillors, questions with notice? There are none. Questions without notice? Councillor Arthur, did you wish to bring that question from earlier?
Yeah, I've got a couple here. The rollers, have been sold. I'm just wondering what we received for.
Through the chair, I will get the exact numbers. Firstly, the third one is about to go up for auction. So it's down in Adelaide. It's just waiting for the auction to start. The first two that were sold, I think it was around the $25,000 mark each roller.
Oh, no, it just said in the minutes here, they were all sold, but that's what I wanted. And could I just ask, as part of that question, how does that proceed through the finance report?
Yep, to the director.
I know if it was a private enterprise, you'd have your depreciated value.
Yeah, so through the chair, there's a line on the income side of the operating, which is proceeds from sale of assets, comes into that account line.
Thank you.
As an operating,
You've got
as an operating income.
your depreciated figure, you've got that.
Different discussion point in terms of, the depreciation gets removed from, well, they're probably fully depreciated, I dare say, and they get removed as an asset in terms of value, and the depreciation, if any, associated gets removed as well.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
No.
Councillor Bland?
Yes, and it's maybe one that we'll refer to infrastructure. Some time back, we had a program for dangerous intersections, which I think there were around 10 identified. One of which I particularly want to ask the question on is the Princess Highway, both north and south, South Terrace in front of the hospital, and over to our connection to Yarrandale Road off McCullum Street. My question is around, are we going to have that looked at again? It's getting busier. Yarrandale Road is a particularly busy road, as we've discussed before. The hospital, with the increase in aged care potentially coming off South Terrace, this intersection and the speed limits need reviewing again. We were on that list before. I know that we didn't receive a lot of money when we went to look at it before, if any. Could we please relook at that?
Councillor, I will ask that administration take that to Roads and Infrastructure
Thank you.
at the next meeting for further comment. Has the director captured that?
Yep.
Thank you. Any further questions? No further questions without notice. Councillors will move to motions with notice. And there is one motion with notice from myself regarding entering into a memorandum of understanding with Dr. Kerrigan to explore the options around the Duke's Medical Centre. Is there a mover for that motion? Councillor Bland, you're moving. For a seconder? Councillor Roundtree. Councillor Bland.
I think this is a great opportunity to look at providing of a more up-to-date facility in Canalpin to service the area of Canalpin, Tintinara and the wider district there. This facility is currently owned, as you said, by Kerrigan family. It also then allows for discussion around other services that are much needed in the area to go in there. I know that it requires a lot of discussion, and who are on the health committee at this point in time are fully aware of that. This is probably will be an in-depth and I would suggest confidential discussion with Dr. Kerrigan into the future to see how that might look. And then of course with the department, given that we also own a building in conjunction with the in Canalpin and Tintinara, but the first one is to be with Canalpin, I believe.
Thank you, Councillor Roundtree.
Yes, this is an important first step in resolving some of the services that have been pulled out of the towns and understanding what the options are. So very pleased to see this step being taken. A lot of work to do. And as Councillor Bland said, we do currently have a building there on Crown land that we're now looking into what our options are. And hopefully what this will do is keep health services in our regional areas. Will go some way to doing that. Perhaps even invite more services in that we have lost over the years. I think everyone that we've spoken to have been very keen to see services restored. And I think as a council, we need to really drive this. I'm not sure who else will do it if we're not doing it. We need to drive this, and this will be how we keep our people in our towns. This is how we attract new people, is we've got to have decent health services. So this is a very good first step.
Councillor O'Hara.
Yeah, I just worry about this. I think we might be putting the cart before the horse. We purchased this building in Canalpin, but we still haven't got a doctor in it. So do we finish up then with another empty building that we own that we can't use? I mean, I know the rationale behind it, but we haven't got a doctor to put in there yet. And
the comment I would make, Councillor O'Hara, is that there is a current doctor in there, and business continuity is something we certainly need to work towards. So appreciate the concern there.
That'd be part of it.
I'll just ask if there's any other councillors wishing to enter debate. Councillor Arthur.
Yeah, I see no sense whatsoever in buying another building for council to look after for a health centre when we have got a quite serviceable one there now, which we own. So this is doubling up of our services there. Services are still available at these health centres. It's not as if no one goes there anymore, podiatrists or they do go there. to the health centre. So, you know, it's a matter of making appointments and when they are there, and it's no difference at the existing Duke's facilities of Dr. Kerrigan. The thing I also worry about is we buy this, Michael and his family will be retiring and selling out. There's no guarantee you're going to have a doctor that's going to use this facility. So, you know, like I just think it's very, very lax to even think of spending council money, ratepayers' money. It's not council money, ratepayers' money on another building when you've got a perfectly one there. And, you know, the future is unknown for that building.
CEO?
Thank you. So I'll be voting against them.
I respect everyone's views. The acting mayor did consult with me on the wording of this motion, and the motion is just to enter into an MOU with Dr. Kerrigan so you can investigate the potential purchase, and you can investigate that with confidentiality clauses that protect both parties. So it isn't about buying the Dukes.
No, I realise that.
It's about having a conversation. And I will state also that I'll be encouraging a workshop with council, and I prefer it to be in October, where the various opportunities that might result in the Dukes being purchased can be mapped out, especially by the acting mayor. But also the staff can explain the process that the council would have to go through if it entertained such a purchase. And that process involves complying with their prudential management policy. So there'd have to be an independent assessment undertaken to determine if this was prudent expenditure of ratepayers' money, and would examine all the concerns and the risks that have been raised. But this is just about being able to have those conversations with Dr. Kerrigan and for both parties to be bound to confidentiality.
Thank you. Councillor Coleman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, acting Mayor. I'm a little bit confused here, but that's normal. Seriously, because it's our suffering health services, we've got to do something. But I think it's prudent that we do have a workshop, and I and other members have a better understanding, and then and we'll know more from there, hopefully, with Dr. Kerrigan, where we stand, and then we can nut it out, and I can get my head around it a bit better. I think it's crucially important that we have this workshop to join all the dots. So, thank you.
You, Councillor Maymouth, did you?
Thank you. And sure, I think it's not the only one that hasn't spoken to this, but I'm happy to go with this today because it is investigating the future possibility of or potential of purchase. So yeah, but I think it's important that as part of the memorandum of understanding that Dr. Kerrigan himself also understands the processes that council has to undertake for this in order to happen, if it does happen. So, yep, workshop and robust discussion, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Bland, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
Yes, and I think through you, Mr. Mayor, the important component of this is it's a memorandum of understanding with Dr. Kerrigan, and it is around confidentiality to protect both them and us to have this discussion. I think I'd just like to make the comment that over many years, and we have seen a drop off in the last decade, Tintinara, Canalpin, Tailem Bend and Meningie have been connected often through the sites, this site or through a site at Canalpin, where it was serviced by doctors from Tailem Bend, serviced by doctors from Meningie, and serviced in that area, including Tintinara, from doctors from Keith. Now we've seen a drop off, but everything does do a cycle, and we need to have a look at how that opportunity, when we're looking at the whole of the health service across the district, comes up and what is central to that. And having an appropriate space in, and I say appropriate because I know it's been said that there's a building there. Standards have changed since that was built and the requirements, and I think appropriate is a key word to ensure that. So, but however, to reiterate, we are talking about an MOU and confidentiality, and I think that's the key point. So I'll just close my comments on that.
Thank you. Councillors, debate is closed. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Voting for the motion is Councillor Mayman, O'Hara, Bland, Roundtree and Qualman. Those against? Councillor Arthur voting against. I declare the motion carried. Councillors, motions without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Councillor Arthur?
Yes, I'd like to move the following. For ratepayers' information, council release the unaudited draft financial statements for the 25-26 financial year in the minutes of September 2026.
Wait for that to go on the screen.
Do you want to repeat that?
Yes, please.
Council, for ratepayers' information, council release the unaudited draft financial statements for the 25-26 financial year in the minutes of September 2026.
Thank you. Councillor Arthur, can you confirm that the words on the screen are the intended motion?
For clarification.
Right. Oh,
when
what have we
you
got?
say minutes, do you mean the public council minutes of the September ordinary meeting?
Or do you mean the agenda for
Yep, that's it.
No, we need
No, which one?
clarification.
councillor?
Sorry?
You were asked a question as to which one.
What do you mean, which one?
Ash, could you ask the question again, please?
Do you mean the minutes from the September ordinary meeting
Into,
agenda
yeah.
into the meeting?
It's the unaudited draft financial statements for the 25-26 financial in the minutes of
In the agenda.
September 2026, which is next month's council
Are you
meeting.
talking about the meeting agenda?
I'm talking about the financial statement.
No, so
Yeah.
councillor, if you want them in the minutes, you would need to move for their release at that meeting. So you're asking for them to be published in the agenda for that meeting.
In the agenda for that meeting.
So we'll
yeah.
change from minutes to agenda.
Yeah, well, I thought
Thank
that-
you. Moved, councillor Arthur.
Oh, the minutes, I'm sorry, yeah, that's a recording of it, yeah.
Question?
Councillor Bland, a question?
Given that they're unaudited, and I have some concern about whether that's appropriate at that point in time, given that they are, we're referring to unaudited draft financial statements.
Yeah, I'll go to the CEO for comment.
Completely inappropriate, absolutely inappropriate that they would be released at that early stage. There's quite a process going through providing the information to the auditors that results in, at the earliest, the confidence to be able to release something for November finance meeting. To do it earlier is a very real risk that the numbers will change later on, and I see no value in it.
Through you, if I might just
Councillor Bland.
add to that, my concern is that if we put that information out and people misread it, particularly the fact that even though it says unaudited, they don't actually understand the next steps in the processes and the due diligence that is done to ensure that we get to the point. that
Councillor
we
Bland,
get.
that's tending towards debate, not a question, so I'm going to close you
Apologise.
there. Councillors, there is a motion here. Is there a seconder for the motion? I'll ask again, is there a seconder
That's
for the
good.
motion? Councillors, the motion lapses for want of a seconder. Councillors, are there any other motions without notice? There being none, we'll move on to the minute action list. Councillors, any questions arising from the minute action list? I'll ask again, any questions arising from the minute action list?
Yeah, I've got one I've got to follow. It's just regarding.
You do have one?
Yeah, just regarding the carriages, I see, they've been sold and being removed, is that correct?
They haven't been moved. To the director?
Through the chair, they were sold a long time ago for a very modest price. And I guess the acceptance of that was on the basis that it actually saved us money in having to dispose of them. So we had a purchaser. It's proven very difficult to for that purchaser to ship land with all the safety requirements that ARTC have. We have done our best to provide support, provide connection, authorities and the relevant resources that they need to logistically put that, I guess, operation together to shift those carriages. I think it's fair to say we can lead the horse to water, but we can't make it drink it. So, I mean, barring taking full ownership, getting them off council land, we're probably at the point where we've done all we can. The primary contact with that purchaser has been Jason Simmons, our depot and plant coordinator, who's now left council. So my next step is to, I guess, reach out to the gentleman myself and just, I guess, get an all honest summary of where he's at with it in terms of, is he actually going to achieve it or not? So, because I'm acutely aware of just the ongoing nature of it, and I'd like to be a bit more deliberate than that.
Yeah, wouldn't we all?
Thank you. Councillor Coleman?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. As one had in previous many years in the railways, there might be a suggestion through the chair to our director that also the other party involved, which is Horizon, which took over Genesee Wyoming, they actually have that little bit of land there. And they actually, why I interpreted, actually brought her up against ARTC. So it might pay to contact the property manager from Horizon, and that can be another lever, so to speak, on how you deal with ARTC.
Thank you.
Receive that as a comment.
Any other questions on the minute action list? Councillor Bland?
Yes, I just want to, the Wadmore House precinct expressions of interest and outcomes. The date for the expressions of interest is November 26. Sorry, not the expressions of interest, the public consultation, point 2. That seems extreme. I know there's a paper to be written, but it's not rocket science. Options paper currently being developed prior to commencement of community engagement.
I have raised this. I'll go to the CEO for comment.
Through the chair, that date would be the date that it comes back to council.
Okay, it's sort of not really clear there, and I've certainly had a lot of questions in the community about this one.
Being released actually at the end of.
So that is the target completion date.
This is August.
That's finalising the comms package at the moment. And so just looking at the consultation period and then having it come back, analyse the information, provide a report to council. November would be the meeting.
Application on the length of time of this consultation period?
6 weeks.
It is 6
per policy.
Okay,
We
thank you.
just adopted. Yep. Any further questions from the minute action list? There are none. For those watching the live stream, please be advised that the meeting is about to move into confidence and the live stream will stop. For those who wish to view the end of the meeting, the video will be available on YouTube after today's meeting. Councillors, does anybody wish to have a coffee break?
Good.
Okay,
Be pretty quick.
thank you. And just before we do, I'll wait for the recording to stop.